Hello everyone, this is Professor Sonia Behra from Thakur College of Engineering and Technology. The module is diode and its application. This module has energy bands in intrinsic and extrinsic silicon, carrier transport, diffusion current, drift current and mobility, PN junction diode, small signal model of the PN junction diode, Zener diode and its characteristics. Today we will be emphasizing on energy bands in intrinsic and extrinsic silicon. The flow of presentation will be: what is an energy band diagram, energy band diagram for insulators, metal, semiconductors, difference between the three energy band diagrams, and then the energy band diagram of intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. So let's start with what is an energy band diagram. We all know that in a molecule there are lots of atoms. In each atom, the last outer shell has certain electrons which are known as your valence electrons. These electrons have highest energy and they can move to the neighboring atom to form a bond. So the energy required for these electrons in the valence shell to move out and form a bond with another atom is known as your valence electron energy. So these electrons in the valence shell form a band which is known as valence band, and they move to the conduction band. So if I see, we have a valence band which has valence electrons. These electrons will require certain energy to break the bond with the atom and move and form a bond with the neighboring atom, and when they form the bond with the neighboring atom, it is called as the conduction band. So they move from the valence band to conduction band, and in conduction band they are free electrons which are ready to form the bond. The energy required for the electrons to move from the valence band to the conduction band is known as the energy gap. Let's see the energy band diagram of insulators. We all know that in insulators there is no current conduction. That means whatever electrons are present in the valence band, they remain in the valence band even if we give sufficient energy. Even after supplying sufficient amount of energy, the energy band gap is so high that the electrons cannot reach from valence band to the conduction band, and because of that there is no current conduction, and therefore they are known as insulators. So they are known as insulators. Next are metals. Metals are very good conductors of electricity. That means when I say very good conductors of electricity, that means we do not give any external energy from outside to break the bond between the atoms, and therefore they are free flowing from valence band to conduction band. So if you can see, there is no energy gap between the valence band and the conduction band, and they can move freely from the valence band to the conduction band. If you see very clearly, each time an electron leaves the valence band and reaches to the conduction band, there is a hole generated. The holes are known as acceptors and the electrons are known as donors. So each time an electron leaves its place and goes to the conduction band, there are holes generated. So what we have understood, in your insulators, the energy gap is too high and therefore the electrons cannot jump from the valence band to the conduction band. But in metals, there is no energy gap. They are in fact overlapping each another, and therefore there is no requirement of external source of energy to be given to the metals. They are good conductors of electricity. So what are semiconductors? Semiconductors lie between insulators and metals. At room temperature, when no external energy is given, they will act as insulators. But when some amount of external supply or external energy is given, the electrons in the valence band will move to the conduction band, and there will be free electrons in the conduction band. Every time the electron is leaving its place from the valence band and moving to the conduction band, there is generation of holes. So generation of holes can be seen by a gap over here. So these are generation of holes. So we can say that the energy gap between the conduction band and the valence band for the semiconductors is moderate. So for insulators it is too high, for metals there is no energy gap, and for semiconductors the energy gap is moderate. Energy gap is also given as Eg. With this, we have another concept which is known as Fermi level. What is Fermi level? Fermi level is the energy level of donors or acceptors which you will be giving to the conductors. In insulators, there are no donors and no acceptors, so Fermi level is at the center. Over here in the metals, there is no Fermi level because there is no energy band gap. In semiconductors, there are two types of semiconductors, intrinsic and extrinsic. This is a pure semiconductor. So here no doping is given to the semiconductor. So we cannot say whether the Fermi level will be nearer to the conduction band or nearer to the valence band. Therefore, the Fermi level is at the center. With this, let's see what is an intrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor is a pure form of semiconductor where no impurities are added to it. So at room temperature, the number of electrons will be equal to number of holes, and because of that, if we see the energy band diagram, the EV is the energy of the valence band, EC is the energy of the conduction band, EG is the energy band gap, and EF is the Fermi level energy. So if we see the energy band diagram, number of holes is equal to number of electrons. We all know that each time an electron is leaving its place from the valence band, there is a hole generated over there. So since the number of holes is equal to the number of electrons in an intrinsic semiconductor, therefore the Fermi level energy lies in the middle. But in the extrinsic semiconductors, there are certain impurities which are added to your pure semiconductor. Depending upon the impurities, these semiconductors are divided into N-type semiconductor and P-type semiconductor. N-type means your donor impurity is added. N stands for electrons, which are donors. So donor impurity is added, and P-type is for your holes, which are nothing but acceptors, and therefore your P-type it gives rise to the P-type semiconductor. So we see the energy band diagram of extrinsic. The first one is the N-type. In N-type, the donor impurities are added. That means number of electrons increases. Therefore, the energy band Fermi level energy is nearer to the conduction band, because in the conduction band your number of electrons should be more. So therefore Fermi level energy is near the conduction band. But in N-type, the acceptors are added, the holes are added, therefore the Fermi level energy is nearer to the valence band because valence band has acceptors, therefore it is near the valence band. So if I summarize this topic, basically we have seen what is a valence band, what is a conduction band, the three types of energy band diagrams for insulators, metals and semiconductors. We know that for insulators the energy band gap is too high, for metals there is no energy band gap, and for semiconductor it is moderate. Secondly, each time an electron leaves its place from the valence band, there is generation of holes. It leaves a hole over there. So generation of hole is over there. For pure semiconductor, your Fermi level is at the center, at the middle, because in your pure type of semiconductor, that is intrinsic semiconductor, the number of holes is equal to number of electrons. And in your extrinsic semiconductor, depending upon the doping given, extrinsic means you are adding certain impurity to the semiconductor. So depending on the doping given, it is your N-type semiconductor or P-type semiconductor. In N-type, the doping is of donor impurities. You are adding electrons, donor impurities are added, more number of electrons, therefore the Fermi level is nearer to the conduction band. And in P-type, it is acceptor impurities are added, that is holes, therefore the Fermi level is near the valence band. I hope this video was helpful for you. See you in the next video. Thank you.